All right. Well, we'll get to do a slow start and hope a couple more of these people who look like they've come in will actually join us. My name is Melody Ferguson. I'm the Dean of Admission at Pacific Lutheran University. I am here to just kind of monitor questions and make sure we get all the questions that you have answered. I have the ones you submitted ahead of time, so we will make sure we jump to those. But I will also let you know that there is a way to ask questions live during this session. There's a Q&A feature usually at the bottom of your screen, as well as a chat function. I can check both. But we are going to let Dr. Brian Galante kind of kick it off and tell us a little bit more about the music program here and yourself, if you want to introduce yourself, and then we will jump into your questions after a short overview.
Sounds great. Well, thanks everybody for being here. It's a pleasure to be here this evening to speak with you about the music program. We are a part of the School of Music, Theater, and Dance at PLU. I serve as Associate Dean for the school. I'm also Director of Choral Studies and conduct the Choir of the West. So that's my particular area there. I thought tonight I might just give you an overview of some of the degree options and some of the potential opportunities that you'd have as a PLU music student, and then certainly give you a chance to ask questions and we can let that guide the conversation. We are one of the largest areas at PLU in terms of majors and minors. We typically see about 150 to 160 majors participating in our program each year, and then another 20 to 30 minors on top of that. In addition, there is no requirement at PLU to be a major or a minor to participate in music classes, to play in ensembles or sing in ensembles. So we generally have 300 to 350 students at PLU participating in music each semester. It's pretty common for us to have about 250 students who are taking private lessons each semester, and you can absolutely do that as well. So just in terms of the degrees that we offer, we have 4 degree paths, the largest of which is the Bachelor of Music Education degree. Because it is the largest credit-bearing degree that we have, it is a 9-semester program. And so this gives students an option or an opportunity to be in the program for 4 years, doing lessons, participating in ensembles, taking core classes, music core classes, education courses, and then student teaching in the 9th semester. So it is a 4.5-year program. Scholarships and all financial aid does carry through for that 9th semester, so we're not cutting you off after the 8th semester. But it does provide a great chance to really invest in the life of a college student at PLU and then to spend that 9th semester student teaching. The other degree programs we have the performance degree, and you can get a performance degree in voice, instrumental areas, piano, organ, and composition. Those degrees are basically 84 credits in music, and then the additional credits are made up of the general education courses. The next degree is the Bachelor of Musical Arts degree, which is still a performance degree. The difference there is that it's 62 credits in music, and then there is a required minor or major. So this is often the degree choice for those who want to double major in music and another area, because it does require fewer music credits. It gives you the credit space to be exploring another area, but it is still a professional degree. So the Bachelor of Musical Arts, the Bachelor of Music in Performance, and the Bachelor of Music Education degree are all the professional degrees. All of those degrees take the same music core classes, so all classes in music theory, ear training, keyboarding, and music history, and also music and culture. And then they splinter off into areas of specialization beyond that. We also offer the Bachelor of Arts in Music, not to be confused with the Bachelor of Musical Arts. The Bachelor of Arts in Music is the true liberal arts degree, and it provides a real opportunity to be studying in multiple areas. So it is an opportunity to major in music. The credit load is lower. It's 48 credits of music. This is often the choice for those who are double majoring. So if you're, say, coming to PLU and you really have a passion for music, you want to major in music, but you know it's not going to be your career choice because you might be going pre-med or pre-law. Oftentimes, those students will be the Bachelor of Arts in Music or the Bachelor of Musical Arts, because they have just that room to take those lab classes in the science areas, or some of the pre-law classes in the humanities areas. Um, then we also have the minor, which is 22 credits or 32. The difference is what we call the specialization, and you can specialize in voice or jazz or composition or instrumental performance. So it's basically the minor plus. And this is often a path taken for students who are on scholarship, who need to participate in lessons in an ensemble for their scholarship anyway. By the time they do that, they add a few history courses and theory courses and ear training courses, and you're on your way to the minor. All of those are specific degree paths in music. We recommend to students as they enter, if you are at all considering a music degree, to start with a music degree. You're not signing your name in blood. We're not requiring you to stick with that path if that's really not what works out for you. But it allows you to get in the sequence of courses which do begin the first semester of your first year, and then make sure that you're staying on track for the degree. I often advise students to declare their major early on in the first semester, and that provides an opportunity for you to have a faculty advisor in music to talk about your courses each semester, and then kind of plot your path through your entire time at PLU. But all that is just one way to participate in music. You don't have to be a major or don't have to be a minor. We do offer scholarships to students. I mentioned that. We went through just a few weeks ago our process of determining those scholarship awards, and those have been posted to your student portal. So if you auditioned for one and haven't heard yet, it's because you have to go to your student portal. So those who receive a scholarship are asked to participate in lessons and the ensemble in the area of their award. We offer private lessons in virtually all instruments, and certainly in all degree paths. And then we have multiple ensembles. We have 4 in the choral area. Choir of the West and Chorale are our 2 mixed groups. We have the University Singers, which is our soprano alto group, and Knights Chorus is our tenor bass group. On the instrumental side, in the bands, we have the wind ensemble and the concert band. In the orchestra, we have the symphony orchestra. And then in jazz, we have opportunities in both big band in the jazz ensemble, and then smaller groups with jazz combos. And then we have a bunch of chamber ensembles, and we use this term pretty loosely. They're basically just smaller ensembles than our large groups. We have groups such as steel band, we have a handbell ensemble, we have a percussion ensemble, we have piano ensemble. So those don't necessarily satisfy the requirement for the scholarship. So there are scholarship ensembles which tend to be the larger ones, but then there are opportunities to participate in other areas according to your interest. You can take lessons as a major or non-major. One of the really great things about PLU is that we don't differentiate, and we don't say, no, you can't do this because you're not a major. You can study with our outstanding faculty. We don't have grad students teaching non-majors and music faculty teaching majors. The music faculty are teachers, and we are here to support our students in whatever path that they are in. And as I mentioned, we have a really strong portion of the PLU student body participating in music. So it really is a great way to find your group, to find your niche as a student at PLU, to meet people. We're a very close-knit area. If you were on any of the tours with me recently, you heard me mention that music students tend to live in MBR, which is the Mary Baker Russell Music Center, which houses many of the things that we do, and it really becomes a second home. I guess a third home. Maybe your dorm is your second home, but MBR would certainly become your third home. Melody, is that enough background
I think
information so we
that's a
jump into
great place to
questions?
start. I am
Yeah.
getting blinded by the sun, so I apologize for that. But for if any of you from out of state and you wondered, is it sunny in Washington? It is
It is
sometimes.
right now.
Yeah, I know. I was like, it never comes in my window like this, but of course today it is. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good start. And we have a couple of questions that were submitted ahead of time that I'll kind of throw your way.
Okay.
But as a reminder to people in the room, if you have questions that have not been answered, things that are on your mind, throw them in the Q&A at the bottom. They can even be anonymous, or the chat, and we will definitely answer those live during this session. But one of the questions that was submitted ahead of time, I think because it is such a rich and full kind of music department with so many opportunities, kind of how do students balance being a student, being a music student, being involved? Like, what are some of the resources they have, or how have you seen students kind of thrive in the music department while they're so busy?
Yeah, it is certainly a busy place, and the level of involvement does dictate the level of busyness.
Mhm.
Our ensembles are all perform at very high levels of excellence, which means we are putting in a lot of rehearsal time. But the rehearsal time tends to be in places in the day where there are not a lot of classes taking place. That's not to say there are never scheduled conflicts,
Yeah.
but we schedule them at a time where fewer things are happening. So it's pretty common for students to be taking classes in the morning if they have four academic classes. They might be doing those two on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and two on Tuesday, Thursday. And then they come to music in the afternoon and participate in an ensemble, not as a curricular sport,
Yeah.
but one as for co-curricular for them. And it's an opportunity to continue some of the work that they did in high school. Um, the level of commitment also depends on the type of group. There are groups like Choir of the West that are very busy because we just have a busy performance calendar. But that's not the only choral ensemble we
Mhm.
have. We do have university singers in the Knights Chorus, rehearse fewer times a week and offer fewer performances each semester. The same is true in the instrumental areas. The wind ensemble is a little bit busier than the concert band.
Mhm.
So part of that is having conversations with the faculty as you come in and being honest in communication about your academic load and the things that you are working on. Um, but I will also say that students really tend to find their place pretty quickly in an ensemble, and all of the students here have been through it, and it really requires good time management and good self-discipline.
Mhm.
And because of that, students who participate in music during their college careers are very attractive potential employers afterwards,
Yeah.
because of that discipline that is required.
Mhm. Yeah, I will say it's always fun to go to a music, like a performance, because you see all the various majors that people have, minors they have. Plus, you see, you're like, oh, that one's also on a sports team or also doing
Yeah.
theater. And I'm always so impressed by PLU students and how they're able to kind of make it all happen. Uh, so yes, it's going to feel like a lot. But I also think that if you're involved in music and theater in high school, you're probably a pretty busy person anyway. So you're going to kind of be used to it in some
Yeah,
ways.
and I usually have to say the reverse to students, because it's pretty common for somebody in high school to be in multiple ensembles,
Hmm.
and they come in thinking that, oh, it'll be the same when I get to PLU. Well,
Yeah.
being in multiple ensembles at PLU is something very different than being in multiple ensembles at high school.
Right.
And just speaking in the choral side of things, you might be preparing for one performance a semester in high school in each of the groups, and you might be performing three or four pieces.
Hmm.
Um, we will come in start in mid-September with our groups, and we'll do a performance, 30 minutes of music by the middle of October, and then we'll turn around and do 90 minutes of music for the Christmas concert.
Right.
So it's a lot, and it's a lot fast. But so usually I have to talk students back from taking multiple ensembles.
Right. Because they're so used to
And
that. That's
yeah,
true.
and I'll also say that there have been times where a student has come to us and said, I want to take some time to figure out my schedule and figure out what I want to do, and that's absolutely fine. They tend to regret it, and they tend to feel like they missed something in the fall, and they join us in the spring.
Yeah, yeah. Dive in. That's my
That's
recommendation. You
right,
can always pull
absolutely.
back, but dive in.
That's right.
It's also the best way to meet people. We
Yeah.
did get a question ahead of time about, can you study abroad as a music student? Do you get to travel as a music student? Can you talk a little bit about the opportunities for both choral and instrumental students to be able
Yep.
to experience that?
Sure. So part one of the question is study away, and that is indeed possible. If you are a music major, and more specifically, if you're a music education major, it does take careful planning,
Hmm.
but it is possible, and it depends on um, the program in which you would like to study away. If it's a full semester program, then that takes more planning and more figuring out things. A lot of our students do study away programs in January during our J term so that it doesn't conflict with the long semester
Hmm.
coursework. But that's not to say it's impossible.
Yeah.
Um, Usually and one of the reasons that I mentioned for, declaring the major early is to get a faculty advisor and to say, I would like to study away. And then work with that advisor and work with me to figure out, okay, here's the best semester in which to do that, um, for recital purposes and everything else. But we've had students studying away in Vienna, in Milan, in Aberdeen, in London. We've had them in Australia, so it's absolutely doable. And then as part of the ensembles, we do often tour. Choir of the West did a tour this past January. We tour every other January with for a performance tour. So we were in Las Vegas and then down in Tucson and Phoenix and then came over to Palm Desert and then into Los Angeles. Um, we Choir of the West usually tours every year. If it's not a J term tour, it's a spring tour. Chorale is also starting the tour process again. We have a brand new associate director of choral studies coming in next year, and so the chorale tours tend to be in the spring. Wind ensemble is the same, and then in addition to that, we are on a cycle of international tours for the instrumental and the choral ensembles. So next year, the end of next year is the choral tour, and we are planning a trip to Italy. And then 2 years after that, so that would put us in 27, would be the instrumental ensembles tour, and that would be open to everybody in the wind ensemble, the jazz ensemble, and the symphony orchestra for that. So lots of opportunities to get some experience in touring and travel internationally just as part of the groups. But again, certainly you can arrange study away. That's a significant priority for the university and one that we believe strongly in.
Yeah, great. Thank you. We got a question about music production. Are there any elements within the School of Music where someone gets to study that or can pursue that at all?
It depends on how in depth you'd like to go into music production. We do offer, mostly by way of private lessons, we offer a course in popular songwriting and media music. And at the moment, we have an instructor who is very much into film scoring and video game music development. And as part of that, she is teaching the students access to Pro Tools and other DAW programs, working with samples and the integration of all of that into an audio production.
Mhm.
We don't have a production class in terms of audio recording and engineering, but we do have opportunities for students to work for media services and to be trained
Mhm.
by the media services staff. And so we have music students always participating in that and making money, recording our concerts, live streaming the concerts, working on editing in the edit bay, and all of that. And then oftentimes we'll have students who are uh, doing some cross work with media and working in the media lab.
Yeah, some really good on-campus student jobs
Yeah,
that also give you some real-world experience.
that's right.
Can you talk about what a first semester looks like for a music student?
For a music major?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have what's called our music core curriculum. And this is basically a designed schedule that happens over the first 4 semesters of being a music major. In the first semester, well, first of all, as students are registering for classes, we always ask them to submit diagnostic testing work so that we can place them appropriately in the right theory class, in the right ear training class, and the right keyboarding class. So in the first semester, if a student comes in and is not testing out of anything, then that student would be in Music Theory and Analysis 1, and then also in Ear Training 1. Those are the 2 primary music classes, and then doing ensemble in their area and doing private lessons. That gives them a little bit of extra time to figure out the academic study of music and how to begin their path as a music major. It's not specifically a music course, but it is part of the Gen Ed curriculum that we have these plus 100 classes,
Mm-hmm.
which all first year students take in their first semester, and we offer music specific sections of those. So you'll be in that with other students who are planning to be a music major, and kind of going through the challenges that they're facing and some of the opportunities that they're facing. We're taught by music faculty, so we can talk about, this is what the study of music looks like. It might be very different from what you've experienced before. But yes, you can do this. And then that progresses in the next semester then into the second level of music theory, the second level of ear training, and then we start adding keyboarding into that. So all of our students have to show proficiency in keyboarding, and so we start that sequence now in the spring semester of the first year, and it's 3 semesters. So you have some time to figure out what these scales look like, to figure out what these chords look like, and then the next semester you start putting your hands on the keyboard and you start learning how to play those things.
Great, thank you. As a reminder, if you have any questions, put them down in the chat. We have room for a couple more questions, and I want to make sure that we're addressing what you want to know, not just what was submitted ahead of time, but we're getting through most of those, which is great. Brian, can you talk to me about why do you like teaching in the PLU School of Music? What keeps you here?
Yeah, I have found that the PLU students and faculty are um, dreamers, and I really love that. I would have no issue walking into the Choir of the West and saying, "Here's what we're going to do," and they may think I'm crazy, but they're like, "Yeah, we can do this." And there's a real spirit of inquiry and curiosity and a real motivation, which in turn inspires the faculty. And it is really incredible what we are able to do as an all undergraduate institution.
Mhm.
I am always in awe when I go to an opera production and I see what they put on in a double cast production after only 3 weeks of rehearsal in January. I'm always stunned when I go to an orchestra concert or a wind ensemble concert and see the complexity of the music that they are doing and offering world premieres from outstanding composers. These are things that don't happen and are not ordinary at all undergraduate schools, and certainly not ordinary at schools the size of PLU.
Mhm.
So it's such fun to be in a program and in a place where um, for lack of a better term, we outpunt our coverage, and really just have no fear in what we take on and some of the things that we get to do musically.
Yeah, I love that. That was fun to hear. I've been at PLU for 12 years and been able to experience, yeah, an opera, a jazz concert. I just went to the musical the other day,
Yeah,
a Christmas concert, all of these various performances that are kind of now traditions at PLU. And I always leave with the same moment where I'm like, wow, they are really talented. And it always makes me really proud to work here to see students shine. And I like that sometimes there's freshmen signing, shining as much as seniors are too. So it really feels
right.
like everyone's getting to participate. It isn't this like hierarchy where only seniors are getting to shine. So I think that's
That's
really
right. Yeah,
exciting.
I know.
Some of our families haven't visited yet. Some of our prospective students haven't visited yet. How can they engage with the School of Music as a prospective student? Obviously, we offer visits in the Office of Admission, but I know I like to encourage students interested in music to really make a day of it.
Yeah, come
What
hang
are
out
some of
with
the
us.
things that
Yeah.
yeah, come hang out. How can they hang out with the music department?
Yeah, I always tell students to work with the admissions office to
Mhm.
get put on a schedule, and spend an entire day as a music student.
Yeah.
Start with us in the morning, go to a theory class, go to a lesson. All of our faculty are happy to teach sample lessons to prospective students, so you get a sense of what it would be like taking from one of our faculty members. You can sit in on a rehearsal and participate to your level of comfort. I've had students in rehearsals who have had no fear in grabbing a folder of music and sight reading along with us. But if you just want to sit and listen, that's perfectly fine as well. Um, we can engage our current students with you, and if you wanted to go to lunch with them and ask them questions, they're happy to talk about PLU, and they're happy to participate in that. They remember when PLU students did that for them, and they are so appreciative. So it's that's really the best way to get a sense of, is this home for you? Is this the place for you? Is to live a day in the life of a music student, and just get a sense of what that means.
Yeah, I think what I've kind of learned is if you're interested in the music department, one of the great things about coming to PLU as a music student is it's like instant community. So many high school students I think are nervous. Will I fit in? Will I make friends? Because you're kind of starting over. But you're spending a lot of time with these people very quickly, and you develop a community, I think, faster than so many of our other departments. So I've really appreciated the community that music provides to our incoming students.
It's true. And as a member of an ensemble, you're in an ensemble. I mean, we don't have freshmen only ensembles.
Mm-mm.
So you're in a group with sophomores, juniors, and seniors, who are, happy to share their own experiences with you, happy to advise you for better or for worse on what to take, and how to navigate your path through PLU. Um, so it is that instant connection, and because it's music, and because when we come together, we're doing something that none of us can do alone. We need each other.
Yeah.
It really is, something that fosters that community, and it's a community that we're turning cell phones off for a while, and we are learning how to respond spontaneously to what we're hearing and what we're doing artistically, and that's really exciting.
Yeah. We did get a question before we wrap up. Probably good to dive a little deeper if you can. If you can't, I understand, and we'll give you someone to follow up with on music education. So specifically, does the program still take probably the same amount of time if someone is bringing in some college credits, is the question, I believe.
The answer is not necessarily. The part of it depends on the courses that are coming in. If a student comes in with a full associate's degree, then um, generally we're saying it's 3 years, potentially 3.5 years.
Mhm.
And that's of course, just generally speaking. Um, we often get students who have done running start and come to PLU and they have an expectation, well, I can finish in 2 years because I'm coming in as a junior. Well,
Mhm.
you're not coming in as a music junior. You're
Yeah.
coming in as a music first year student. And the thing to remember is that what we are doing is a performance journey as well as the student journey. And so yes, you might have these credits to be a junior, but you haven't started private study. You haven't started study in music theory and music history
Mhm.
and conducting and education classes. Um, so what usually, my kind of boilerplate answer for transfer students or for those coming with college credit is plan for 3 to 3.5 years.
Right.
Again, it's sitting down and looking at the courses that you're bringing in and figuring out the best path forward.
Mhm.
And I would say that sometimes we say we can get you out of here in 3 years, and students, but in the after 1 year, they're like, no, I want to spend 3 full years doing this, and then I'll student teach
Mhm.
in the fall semester.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the music education has such a great reputation that you're going to be hired somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, do you want the college experience or not? And I talked to a lot of students about what I love about that program at PLU is you're getting the full music program and you're getting the full education program kind of smushed together. So it's intense for
Yeah.
sure. But you're going to come out feeling really confident in your ability, which I think is key to being a music educator. So that's great.
Yeah, and I would just say that some students ask me about the student teaching in the fall
Mhm.
because there's the perception that if you don't student teach in the spring, then you're not
Oh,
ready
yeah.
for a fall job. But to that, I always say we have a 100% placement rate
Mhm.
for our music education students. It is common for somebody who student teaches in the fall to start with their first job on January 4th.
Yeah.
Um, and moving into a position mid-year.
Mhm.
Sometimes students prefer not to do that. They want to sub in a variety of districts to get a
Mm.
sense of what the districts are and where they might like to live. So it gives them that extra time. I mean, they're making money as a sub, which is
Yeah.
great, but without the commitment into a job in one place. So it just gives them that time to figure things out.
Yeah. Yeah, I was my child goes to a district where the band director is going on a kind of long-term leave and needs a long-term sub. And he was like, yeah, I just called up PLU. And I was
Yeah,
like, which he didn't know that I worked there. And I was like, oh, I love hearing that
yeah.
I think that connection and then the networking that all of you have. But I was like, oh, that's how this works. You just call up PLU and find one. But he was like, yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of
teaching and
like,
subbing.
buying a yeah, kind of like buying a house before it goes on the market.
Yeah.
We are often the first call for districts and principals, and we've had brand new students or brand new teachers who have finished our music ed program get a job before the job was even posted. So nobody even knew that the job was open, and we were
That's
filling it with
amazing.
PLU students.
All right. So to wrap this up, is there anything you wish I would have asked you or anything you want to make sure people know about PLU's music program and that we haven't shared tonight?
No, I would just say that come see us. Come spend some time. I think it's really important to get a sense of what we do and how you might fit in.
Mhm.
And then don't be afraid about just jumping in. The the music faculty are very nice people. And we care deeply about the students. We will push you, we will challenge you. We are going to make you better musicians, but that's why you're coming here.
Yeah.
So that should not be a reason not to participate. It's because you're scared.
Mhm.
We are all here for that same purpose, and I think you will really be um, quite satisfied if you just jump in and start on day one.
Yeah. Plus, it has like the most beautiful building on campus. So you have to come just to experience the PLU, the MBR, the home away from home that we talked about at the beginning.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we appreciate everyone joining us tonight. If you have more questions or want to know how to dive in, you want to know how to hang out with music, definitely reach out to myself or your admission counselor, or just the Office of Admission if you don't know how to reach those people, and we can help coordinate all of that. So if you give us a few hours, especially on a weekday, we can definitely make it, where you get to interact with those people that will become a huge part of your 4 years at PLU. So we hope to see you on campus soon. Thank you for spending the evening with me, and we will see you later. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.